to switch right here to our beginning screen, and we will get this underway. So welcome everyone. Those of you that saw our session last week, our webinar called Supporting EL's Reading During Distance Learning, welcome back. And if you didn't get to see it, don't worry, you can still access it on our sideletseducation.com website. We can put the link for you in the chat on YouTube, and also we'll add it on Twitter as well under the hashtag SideLet'sEdChat in just a little bit. So please be patient with us on that. But thank you all for joining us today. Tan is returning today to share writing techniques that work well during distance learning. A little background on Tan. He's an amazing educator and a writer. Tan has his own website, lots of resources for us all to read and learn from. He's been educating students, but also us adults, and we all love Tan. I know you're here to see and learn from him. He's on Twitter at Tan ELL Classroom, so if you haven't followed him, be sure to go on Twitter and follow Tan. He shares freely and widely all kinds of awesome information that can help you grow professionally. And before I hand it over to Tan, I want to let you know how you can connect and interact with us throughout this webinar. So on YouTube Live, if you're viewing live right now, on YouTube Live, you will see that Anna Mattis is on there. She's also with us on this webinar, and she's going to be answering some of your questions. Anna Mattis from Sidelets is the co-author of Boosting Achievement and the author of 7 Steps to a Language-Rich Interactive Foreign Language Classroom. And we're really happy to have her back with us today on this webinar. So she's going to try to catch as many questions as she can on the live chat. But also, afterwards, Tan and I will try to answer many of the other questions that didn't get answered. If you're not on the YouTube live chat, or if you're interacting with us, oh, I want to show you this, by the way. This is where the YouTube live chat is. Some people had a little trouble finding this. I even did. The first time I did a YouTube live chat, I couldn't find it. So I want to show you where it's at. If you're on YouTube Live, it's off to the right of your screen, and you have to click right here so it says Top Chat, and you'll see all the chats on the side of the screen. That's where it's at, and you can actually access it on your phone. I just found that out a few minutes ago. It's a little bit tricky, but you have to switch to a desktop mode on your phone, and you'll be able to see the chats and actually interact and participate on the chat as well. We also want to offer you another way to interact with us, and that's through Twitter. So on Twitter, we're using the hashtag SideLet'sEdChat. Even if you are watching this as a recording later on, you can still continue to hashtag SideLet'sEdChat. This will catch our attention. Todd and I will go back and interact with you, answer questions. I want to let you know also that this webinar is a brief overview of writing strategies that you can use during distance learning and beyond. Many of the strategies that we discussed today are strategies that you can use in a face-to-face setting as well. So we wish we could spend the entire day with you collaborating over powerful writing strategies, but we don't have all day. However, please reach out to Tan or to me via Twitter or email, our websites, however you'd like to reach out to us. And we can either answer your questions or direct you to someone who can. And after this webinar, Tan and I will go back and review all of the questions in the chats and be sure to try to answer everything that we can. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to my friend, Tan.
Thanks. As Valentina does that, I want to say thank you to Valentina and Anna for really co-facilitating this. I would like you to just tell us in the chat where you're from, what's your context, middle school, high school, elementary school, where are you coming from? Just as I share my context as well. Say where you're from and the context. As you do that, I'm going to share with you my context. I'm a fifth grade ELA teacher at a private international school, and my kids are phases 3 to 5. So I don't really have beginners at this level. And I want to show you these two GIFs that I created. This, the top one, is what writing instruction looked like when before February 2nd. And now on the bottom, this is what virtual instruction looks like now. The three things that I'm going to be sharing with you, the three strategies or the three examples, is genre-specific writing, integrated writing with reading and listening, and then for beginners. The thing that I want to really emphasize is that I'm going to share principles, because the principles are the things that are going to be transferable. But you have the strategies that you have to be for your audience. For example, Starbucks and McCafe are the same thing basically, but they serve different audiences. The audience that I have are kids that have Wi-Fi and have technology. In the chat, if you have ideas of how to help kids who don't have technology use the same ideas, just add them in the chat as well. That would be really helpful. Again, focusing on the principles of asynchronous and synchronous learning. And this, what it means is that for writing, just like reading, they're the same principles as last week, that we focus on saying, when do kids need us the most? That's when we provide synchronous learning. And then for asynchronous learning is when kids don't need us as much. Can we provide a video or other forms or other means? Now I'm noticing that they're kind of like balanced, but I'm realizing that synchronous learning is what we need to do more of. Let's go with the first example, virtual genre writing. Let me break it down for you in four different phases. We started with a rubric. Then we went to mini lessons. After mini lessons, we had conferences, and at the end, we published. You're going to have access to these slides, and the Silas team will send it out to you, and then there will be speaker notes. In the speaker notes, there's actual links to this. So example, this is right here, you'll see the speaker notes right here, and the actual document is right here for you. You'll get it later. This is an actual rubric that my team created right before virtual school happened. We said, okay, for this rubric, we're focusing on narrative writing. So we base this on Lucy Calkins, and then we created our own based upon that. And then these things became our mini lessons. For the mini lesson, I volunteered, and when we sequenced this out already, when we looked at the rubric and we sequenced it out, we said, okay, these are the things we have to teach. And I volunteered. I said, why don't I make the videos for this? Why don't I teach it? You do the other things for the other parts of your class. Let me take this over. Let me take this on your plate. This is how I contributed to the collaboration. And this is also how I facilitated how I developed more relationships with them. So as you notice, these things are the exact things that were on the rubric. These are the descriptions, and then these are the links to it. And you can have access to this if you want in the speaker notes. We took the mini lessons and then we put them on something called a week at a glance. This is what 5SC or Shauna and I created. And do you notice how, for example, in this day, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 links just for English. But imagine if we sent that out to kids. There's too many links. So instead, we just put them in one document, and kids had this, and this is the first document kids have when they come to virtual school. And what I did was I linked the writing instruction. I linked them there for kids. So the little mini lessons here, I would link them here for the kids. And this is what it would look like. Let me just show you what, let's watch a little bit of it. Let's watch 30 seconds of it. Welcome to Wednesday, February 12th lesson. No, but I'm recording it. Dialogue, action, description, and your thoughts. And I'll be sharing with you that later. It's called Daddy. D-A-D-I. Daddy. Daddy. So, but first, let's go back and look at some of your two students' leads. I'm going to walk you through them, and I want to say what I really liked about them and why they're really great, strong leads. And if they have been able to use the lead, use the rubric to follow the lead. Okay, let's pause the video now. So let's look at two students writing this. This comes from Olivia. Let me read it out loud to you. So I just wanted to show you that I want to emphasize two things. One, that I'm sharing my screen and I'm sharing my face so that kids can see that I'm actually teaching them and they're not just seeing an empty screen. The second thing is, notice that it's not just a list of, it's not just watch this video one day and watch that video. It's watch this video, apply it. I'm going to go look at your writing examples and I'm going to talk about them the next day. So kids are like, oh, they're actually looking at our work. That's one of the tips that I recommend. The next thing we did was we turned we gave kids conferences. So these are the 3 days that we gave kids conferences, and then these are the links, and the kids just joined them. And they decided when they were able to join. And this is what a conference would sound like. So again, it's kids coming online, them sharing their screen, me sharing my face, and then me talking with them. Okay, so let's see how it sounds now. However, every government banned the poachers of pangolins, but they still continue to poach. The most that they ever poached was at 2006 to 2012, and it has 20,000 to 20,000 pangolins at that time. What are you noticing about that sentence now that we put a full stop and took away the and?
It sounds better.
Why does it sound better?
Because there's no multiples and in those sentences.
And if you have multiple ands and ands and ands and ands and ands and ands, how does it make your reading sound? Okay, I'll stop there, but I just wanted to show you, by the way, all these videos are linked, like this is a full-length video, and so you can watch it and use it if you like, or just to see how I did it, but I won't go through it because it's a really short webinar. The next thing with the last phase was publishing. I got this idea from Katie Topham. We'll talk more about that. We used Book Creator. It's a free platform. You can get up to 40 books on a bookshelf, and kids, so this is our class, we gave them a link to our class, then kids create their own books. This little book that you're seeing here comes from this little green one. It's called Zombie Virus. So after working on this, Hankson then put his text into this document and he added his pictures. And of course, he could read to me, meaning like he can record his voice reading. So that's another great practice for kids. And these are all books that you're seeing here. We also had kids interact with each other by reading each other's books and commenting and saying what they liked about it. So what I would have done, let me just go back and forth through this. What I would have done differently is that we had kids work by themselves to do this. I would have had kids, looking back, work with another person or a team of kids to work together to create their narrative story. So that's more collaborative. Let's look at listen, read, and write. You know of Nancy Motley's Talk, Read, Talk, Write. And I tried to facilitate that, and I didn't have the speaking because I didn't think about kids coming together at the same time. Now I do. The three phases are listen, read, and write. And let me show you what they look like, each of them. So we started off with a goal on Monday, because I meet with the kids 3 times a week. On Monday, I gave them a goal. And I said, by Thursday, you'll be producing this. I will write to describe how a conservation program in my country is helping to protect animals, plants, and the ecosystem. So I gave them that. But I couldn't have them jump in right away. So I said, you're going to need to know the word conserve. So I gave them a student-friendly definition, a picture that connects to the word conserve, and then a sentence frame. In the video, my video, I had kids tell me their sentence to answer the sentence frames here. to get them understanding the concept of conservation. The next thing I did was so before we even got to the listening part, we had to get the conserve. Now, same day, Monday, I gave kids a little video. I embedded it on using Edpuzzle. Basically, you take a video on Edpuzzle and then you insert questions for them, and then it stops the video automatically and it says, please answer this question based upon what you just watched. It's really fantastic. And this video is about Allow Conservation Program. And so I'm giving them a context. They listen and they're answering questions. That's Monday. Wednesday, they come back to me and I show them this again. We also do another word for conserve, but I show them that these are the things that we're looking for. The focus is, how is your country protecting ecosystems? That's the goal by Thursday. So we're leading towards that. Today, their job is to go find an article in their home language or in English about a conservation program in their country. So I had kids looking in Korea, in Japan, in Vietnam, in Russia. Right? And these were the things they were looking for. So they're reading consciously and specifically. Where do they take the notes? They put them right here. This is an example from Kimmy's, and this was blank, but now she took these things right here and she took notes on her organization that she found. It's called Save Vietnam's Wildlife. So that was the reading part on Wednesday. The kids came back on Thursday and I reminded them that, hey, by the end of today, you're going to be producing something that answers these questions in text. We're focusing on paragraph writing, so kids are using paragraphs this way. And this is what they wrote. I gave them a blank template, the little blue boxes, and they're blank. So kids are now putting their text that they found here. This is the sentence level, right? This was basically the word level. This is the sentence level. Now they're putting into the discourse level, because I'm saying, I want you to, these are the things we're researching. I want you to put it inside the box, but make sure you have different paragraphs because they all can't be together. We were practicing paragraph writing at this time. Again, what would I have done this differently is I would have had the kids from Japan work together, the kids from Korea work together, the kids from Vietnam work together, or different countries, it doesn't matter, but I would have kids do this project collaboratively. Let's, by the way, as you're reading, please comment and saying, oh, this is how I would have adapted, or this is how I would have used it in my own context. This is great. And then, so now we're going to beginners. This is my fantastic. I was thinking, this is how I would use table and say, let's look at all the nouns. This is called the picture word induction model, which Valentina has a fantastic video for Virtual on picture word induction model. Fantastic. And she said, and so you would get all these words out, then you would get their verb. For example, you would say, oh, right here, grandma. Okay, what is grandma doing? Oh, she's planting, she's choosing, she's watering, she's grabbing. Okay, now let's look at all the prepositions. Can you, here's, so what I would do is I would grab kids together, I would gather kids together synchronously online. And I would share my screen and say, all right, kids, let's do this together. Because they're younger kids, they need more help. Remember, asynchronous is for kids who need less help. Synchronous is for kids that need your attention, your help the most. This is what I did for myself. I use Bunsy to guide. I use Bunsy to guide my writing. So I enhanced it. I was pretending I was a beginner, and I wrote, the scarecrow stands in the field to scare away the birds. That's again right back here, the scarecrow. Right? And now I enhanced it by adding a background, the picture of a slide of a scarecrow, and then the birds. Let me show you a few more options. These are all the technology options that I really can't go through all of them, but I'll just show you a few. Okay? On this slide, let me show you what slide number. It's slide 30 and 31 are the examples that I'm going to show you. But I'll just do 2. So I'll use Adobe Spark, which wasn't shared before. This is an example of my actual beginner student in 7th grade. And he had other kids were writing essays, but now we were having him write a script for an animated movie based upon the same topic that other students were learning. Let's watch.
Hello, my name is Chen Cheng-Hua. Today, I would like to bring where the water is not, and
So what you're seeing is all of his writing. Yes, he used Google Translate, but this was all coming from his idea, and yet we were empowering him to write. Let me show you an example of what Julie Kennel did for Book Creator. Really quickly. These are for her 3rd graders.
What do you call a large pink animal that lives on a farm? A large pink animal that lives on a farm is called a big pig.
What do you call a dog that just had a bath? You call a dog that just had a bath a wet pet. What do you call an Oreo cookie? You call an Oreo cookie a black snack.
Okay, I won't go through any more, but I just want to show you. Do you remember Katie's idea of using that sentence chart? It's the same concept here. Here, Julie had the word banks for kids. You could do the same thing, and this is using Book Creator. Again, do you notice the principle of saying, okay, how can we empower kids to enhance their writing? And you saw an example of Book Creator from my kids, but you also saw now an example of Book Creator from Katie, right? Or Julie, let's go through the slides, sorry. Let me show you a really quick one. This is from Katie Gardner, she's fantastic. This is what I saw to motivate kids, even if you don't have technology. She could probably send this home, just watch. Isn't this cool? Write 2 sentences about the secret items in Mrs. Gardner's bag. Take a picture of your writing and record yourself reading it in Seesaw. So one way you could do is maybe if you don't have technology at home with kids, maybe send this back to kids and say, today you're gonna write, in my secret box in a little envelope, send this back to kids that you're gonna write about beach, apple, and gorilla. And make a story out of that. Make 2 sentences. And on Tuesday, you'll get another bag and another envelope in the mail, or create a package for them and then have 5 envelopes, 1 for every day, right? Again, this is the principles, the strategies are different. Again, let me stop there because I'm pretty close to time, and so I want to give you time to ask questions as well. Again, it's same principles, different audiences. I shared a process. I didn't share a product. I want you to find your own process. My goal, what would make me so happy is if you could take this webinar and take what we're sharing and sit down with a colleague and say, hey, how can we apply these principles in our own context with our own audiences? As long as you keep these in mind, asynchronous and synchronous writing instruction. As much as possible, try to have kids collaborate and work together. So that was 19 minutes of talk. Anna, can you share some questions?
Yes, I can. Okay, here we go. So we had a couple, and please keep asking them if you had. I'm going to go back a little bit to the beginning. When you were talking about the conferencing that you had with students, people wanted to know, what were you using to talk to your kids?
Oh, okay. This is, I talked to them on Google Hangouts.
Okay.
So I just created a schedule for them, and I said, please, so here you go. It's a Google Meet. we created a table and we just took these, you notice these are the same links from like person one and person one, they're the same one. We copied and pasted the link. And then, for example, Alex knew that on Tuesday at 10:20, I'm going to be there with him for 15 minutes. So he clicks on this link. But Katie knows that I'm going to be with her on Monday at 10:20. So kids self-selected this.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for asking the question.
Oh, that's great. That's great. How long, this looks like, this is a comment from Annette Ramos. It looks like it took some strategic planning. How long did it take you to put this together?
It took maybe a day. Wait, which part? Like the conferencing or all of this together?
Afterwards.
Oh, the conferencing. Yeah, it just took maybe 40 minutes to think about. Like all I had to do was just get the links, copy and paste them, and this was blank. And then I shared it with kids. Actually, my co-teacher shared this with kids. She created this. It probably took her 45 minutes. It was quick.
Okay.
If it was a lot, she would have told me like, can you please do this for me right now?
Right. That makes sense. We wanted to know, what app did Julia use to create the What Do You Call book?
Oh, Book Creator.
It's Book Creator. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
The Book Creator. Oh, yeah. Book Creator. Yeah. And she also used Bunsy. Do you guys want to see an example of that? Like, so anyways, I won't actually show you, but she can embed a video in her Bunsy. It's like Google Slides and RuPaul meets together, and they meet together and they had a baby. And this would be Bunsy. It's amazing. They can have stickers.
That was amazing. That metaphor was amazing. Okay. All right. So we have a lot of the same question about 4 times. People want to know about Katie Gardner's lesson in the bag. It was extremely motivating, and they want to know, how did she do this? What app did she use? How did she get that together?
Oh my goodness, I need to email her, but I'm thinking the way she did it, I think she created, the way I would have done it is I would have used pictures on Keynote and made the transitions. And then I would just recorded it and she turned it to a GIF. But let's email her, let's text her and say, hey, Katie, I saw you on Tan's thing. Can you tell her? She's coming online, by the way. She's coming to my podcast to share about this. These are her exact ideas. She's amazing. So we'll share about it. I'll make sure to ask this. Thanks.
Good. Yes, her fans want to know. Okay,
Yes.
one more. I will ask you one more. How much time did the actual conferences take? How many students did you talk to?
I talked to 15, depends. So we only were allotted 10 to 15 minutes. It was fast. It was pretty fast because we wanted to keep it sharp and focus. And you know what, at times when I needed more focusing, what I did was I just took their text, their writing, and I screen recorded me talking to them for another 15 minutes if I needed to, and I sent it out to kids.
Okay, that works. I'm going to ask 2 more. I lied. I said I had 1. I'm going to ask 2. So Diana Delaney, Tan, can you go through what your students see in the beginning of the week? Do you post everything on Google Classroom?
So for a typical class, the kids will see this. I don't, but my kids will see this document here. So they'll come to Google Slides and they'll see language goal March 12th. But on Wednesday, they'll see language goal March 13th. And then when they come to me on Thursday, they'll see language goal March 14th. It's the same thing, but we're leading up to their ability to write. But we start with first listening. We start with first giving them something to listen to. Then we give them something to write, to read. So we give them a context. Okay, listen to this video about conservation at Lao. Now they have that concept down. Now go find it in your own country. So this is now giving them their reading practice. This is also giving them a cultural context, saying, hey, your country is doing really amazing things, I bet. So it's getting culturally relevant. And then now put it together in writing.
There you go. Good. That's a great recap. Okay, here's my last one, and I think this is a great one for us to end on. This is from Andy Mitzel, and it's, if we were to try one of these softwares this week, which one would you suggest, and which is the easiest to use?
Oh, okay. The easiest just one? Okay.
Just one.
I would use Edpuzzle, because one, the videos are visual. Get the video, insert it into Edpuzzle, and then you could have kids pause the video. You could insert as many questions as you want. So for example, I created something for solar system today, and I inserted about 5 questions that I want kids to stop and talk to each other about this part about the solar system. They would type their answers in, and then I would get a whole screen response later on my dashboard to see who responded, what did they say, where can I address later in lessons. And kids can also do this collaboratively. What I've done is on this slide, I would say, okay, you guys have coupled up, go into our group number 3 and work on this Edpuzzle. I'll pop in and I'll see how you're doing in about 3 minutes. So they can go and work on this synchronously at the same time, and I can check their work. Thanks, Andy.
All right, and you're getting a couple more questions, but I think Valentina might need to jump in, so you'll be able to get to them after.
Awesome. All right, thank you so much, Tan. I'm going to share my screen now. So hopefully you can see my screen. Yes, okay. Tan shared with us that he is sharing a process and not a product, and we have to take what we are doing and create our own process with it. And so when we think about what we're already doing with our students in our classrooms, whatever writing sequence you already have in place, we want to take that and shift it towards online, shift it towards teaching online, or if we don't have technology for all students, it may be through paper packets or other means to support all students so that it's accessible. So when we think about accommodating for our English learners specifically, we want to make sure that we're working in small groups like Tan mentioned. We want to make sure that we're either gathering students in groups of 4 to 6 or one-on-one and meeting with them frequently to discuss their writing. We're supporting them with paragraph frames so that they understand how those language structures in English work. We're allowing them to draw and label as necessary so that if they are beginners, that drawing and labeling can support the development of English. And if they are beginners, we're allowing them to use their primary language as well. Accessing that primary language is going to help them as they transition to the target language. And also giving them exemplars, examples of what we are hoping that they achieve. So the rubrics that Tan shared will help students know what's expected of them, those targets. Exemplars are actual examples, student created examples, maybe from the past or examples that you created that look like student examples. They remind me of, like, for example, when I was getting my master's degree and we had to write an action research paper, and I had never written an action research paper, the professor gave us 3 examples of action research papers, and they were all different, but we were able to see what an action research paper looked like. And then that was our target. We could model after those action research papers that were exemplars for them. Our English learners benefit from exemplars of what we're asking them to achieve as well. And you'll notice in this writing sequence diagram that I've shown you, there's a lot of talk. We're going to allow them to think and brainstorm a plan, either with us or individually or with a group, but then they're going to talk and collaborate. So if we're doing this online, that means providing them a space to share and discuss their ideas. Then they draw or sketch out their ideas and they write or draft. Then again, we're letting them talk and process and discuss what they've written, and we're revising and editing. We polish and then share. Again, we're letting them talk. So there's a lot of opportunity for talking and sharing and discussing with their peers. Online, like Tan shared earlier, you might create small groups for students to discuss and share. and then providing lots of feedback along the way. This is going to be important for them so that they know where they need to improve or where they are doing well and on target. One of my favorite resources for feedback is in Nancy Motley's book, Talk, Read, Talk, Write, that Tan actually mentioned earlier. And on pages 81 and 82, she offers some very nice charts that explain exactly what we're asking students to do to add more detail or to explain more in their writing. And I know, like, years ago when I taught writing, I would ask students to add more detail or make it longer. And a lot of my students didn't understand exactly what that meant. What does it mean to add more detail? How do I make it longer? But this chart right here is so nicely written that it guides students exactly. What does it mean to add more detail? So I might give another example, or I might add more facts. Tell what you know about it. I learned. So that it's very explicit. I'm not just saying add more details. I want you to give a specific example, one example that shows, and so on. Very explicit feedback about their writing. Personally, myself as a writer, before I write anything, a lot of my pre-writing and drafting happens in my mind as I'm thinking and reading and talking it out with a friend or with a colleague. So all that happens before I actually put pencil to paper, that's all part of drafting and pre-writing. And our students need that opportunity as well. So I also wanted to share with you, I don't know what happened there, a blog post that we have on the Sidelets blog, and the bit.ly is at the bottom of the screen for you. This was written for face-to-face instruction, but a lot of the strategies and techniques here that offer scaffolds for writing can be applied directly to distance learning as well. So when we're thinking about quick writing is awesome for distance learning too. Or if we're thinking about mentor sentences, sentence stems and frames, all of these ways to scaffold writing that we do naturally in a face-to-face classroom can be easily implemented in our distance learning classrooms as well. So I encourage you to check out this blog post. This is actually, it was, and I think it still is, the top visited blog post on our blog. I want you to keep three things in mind when we're thinking of supporting writers in distance learning. We want to keep it simple, the writing that we're having them do. And when I talk about simple, I don't mean like their writing has to be simple, but how we propose the writing to them has to be explicit. This is what I want you to achieve today. We want to be clear in our instructions, step-by-step instructions, and easily accessible. And that means, how do I find help? If I need support, is there a mentor or an example or a rubric? How am I going to get assistance when I need it? So simple, clear, and accessible. And on that note, I also know that many of you are struggling with technology needs and accessibility for all students. So keep in mind that not everything that you do with your students has to be using technology. It may be that you're using choice boards for students, packets, and it's not ideal, but if that is what you have to do to keep students working and engaged and practicing listening, speaking, reading, and writing, a lot of districts are creating some high quality choice boards out there. So look into different choice boards that are offered and see about how we can still implement listening, speaking, reading, and writing on a daily basis in all content and curriculum areas. And finally, I do want to mention that if you are an ESL teacher who co-teaches in classrooms and you're struggling with how do I support my English learners without adding more to their plate, without adding addition, I want to collaborate with my content teachers. I encourage you to reach out to your content teacher, to the teacher that you collaborate with, and ask to share lessons with them. Ask to provide some additional supports and scaffolds. See what they are already doing and help to accommodate it. Offer some advice in ways to support those English learners so that the lessons that they are being asked to do are scaffolded and are supported for English learners. So today, in this brief time, Tan and I hope to share with you some ideas for writing through distance learning. And we hope that you've not only gotten a couple of ideas that you can take back and use right away, but you also feel validated by things you're already doing. We know that this is hard work, it's challenging, and that we're all learning by trial and error. And we know that you also have awesome ideas. So please share what you are doing using the chat on either YouTube or in Twitter using the hashtag SideLetsEdChat. And I want to remind you that tomorrow night, Tan and I will be collaborating again. This is a regular Twitter chat that we hold every first and third Tuesday. But tomorrow night, Tan will join me as we continue the conversation about distance learning. And this one will not be about writing itself, it'll be just in general, all about distance learning and how we're supporting our English learners. We do this at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, and it's a 30-minute chat. So join us and invite your friends to that. I want to thank Tan for joining me tomorrow night on this co-host. Thank you, Tan.
No worries. Thank you for coming. Are there any other questions that people have for Valentina? Or Anna can facilitate that?
There have been a lot, and I'm going to let Valentina answer them when we finish.
Okay, yes, I will do that. As soon as we finish, I'll go on the chat and I will answer those questions so that we can honor your time. Tan and I have a survey that you can access by just simply holding up your phone and pretending like you're going to take a picture, but not really taking the picture. You just go to your camera and the survey will pop up. We really value your opinion and your feedback. So, I mean, we look at all of the comments that you write. Please let us know how we can support you and what we're doing that is working. Thank you all for your time. We are going to share the slides with you on our website, sideletseducation.com, after we have finished today. So look forward to going on to the website and accessing all this information. Tan, we cannot thank you enough. Thank you.
Thank you for co-hosting as well, Valentina and Anna. Thank you everyone from all over the world for coming. You're coming here for kids. That's the most important part. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Better together, right?
Better together.
Awesome. Thank you all. Have a great day.